shared this little story with I think several of you, and I want to go back over this story again because it so illustrates what I want to send you out with. I started team roping about a year and a half ago. I don't know if anybody been to a rodeo where they do the head and heeling. One ropes the head, and the other partner comes in and ropes the heels, and it's a timed event. And I started doing this about a year and a half ago. Give me a little break and pick up something to kind of go and refresh myself doing. And I go down 2 or 3 nights a week, and when I can, and practice in the pen, and been doing some team roping. Well, here back this last winter, the horse that I was roping on hurt his back leg, and I had to stand him up for a couple of months. And I didn't have a horse to ride. I didn't have one to ride, and team roping without a horse is a difficult thing. It's hard enough for me to catch that steer when I'm on a horse, much less when my horse is crippled. So I wanted to go down to the roping pen, but you just go down there and sit in a chair. You don't get to get involved. And the thought hit me, here in our youth camp, we've got 40 or 50 horses standing out here eating. Surely I go get on one of those horses that we got and ride the dude. Now, I know he doesn't have a whole lot of skill, and he's more of a camp horse than he is a roping horse, but at least I go and have a horse that I can sit on. After we finish roping the steers, I could drive them back to the pen, and I could just kind of help out down around the arena. I could have a horse that I could ride on. So I started looking over our horses, and my brother and I had gone up to a cattle sale one time, and we bought this horse. He's real poor, skinny, head kind of dumped between his legs, looked like he's about to die, just perfect for a youth camp horse. Those are the kind you look for when you're buying a horse for kids. One that's on his last leg. And he said, man, this would be a good one. He's not long for this world. I think he's going to work. We bought this horse, didn't even really know it, but they handed us a set of papers on him. This horse was registered. And it didn't make me any difference what he was. He's a gelding, and we threw the papers up on the dashboard of the truck, brought the horse home, and we had used him for a while in camp, and he wasn't working out too good. He was worse than we thought he was. And he wasn't panning out too good, but we had him down there. One night I was down at my brother's house, and his father-in-law Roland was over there, and we started talking about this horse. They pulled out these papers that we had on this horse, and I didn't know anything about the breeding on this horse, but Rod's father-in-law did, and he started pointing out some names on that paper and said, this horse is bred really good. He's got a real good pedigree. This horse is bred good. I said, I'm going to go get that horse, and I'm going to ride him a little bit while my other horse is getting well. So I went over in the back 40 where we keep them, and, we ride them at camp. As soon as camp's over, we turn them out, and they go way back over there at the base of that blue mountain, and they just eat weeds and whatever they can find to eat until next summer, and we bring them back up here and ride them again. They just, it's kind of the survival of the fittest over there, and we just turn them over. And he was over there. I went over and caught this dude and brought him over, and took him down, and I started riding him around, sitting on him while everybody else was roping, having fun, and I was wishing I could. And, it just finally got to me. It's more than I could take. I said, here, I'm going to try this. So, this horse had never even seen anything like this. And I backed him up in that pen, and I called for the steer. And of course, he didn't know what to do, but that horse pinned his ears back, and he dove right after that cow. I said, hey, this thing came back. He had a smile on his face. He liked it. So I backed in there, and I called for me another one. Boy, and I ran 2 or 3 in a row on this old gelding, and he started liking this thing. He fell in gear. Boy, and he was, about the 3rd or 4th time, he was better than the horse that I'd bought. So I came home. This horse was too slow. He just didn't have any strength. He didn't have any power, but he had the mind here to do this. But he just lacked so much. I went to the feed store and I bought some calf manna. For those of you who know what that is, about 31% protein. And I got that calf manna, and I also got some stuff called Red Cell. It's a high protein vitamin. You pump 1 squirt on a gallon of feed, and then I got the highest protein all grain that I could buy down there. So I started feeding this horse this stuff. Now, he'd been over here in these bitter weeds eating some limbs and honeysuckle vines. And I started pouring this high-protein feed to him, And I mean, I just started increasing him and increasing him and increasing him, where he was eating a 5-gallon bucket of this stuff. And they'd pump that one red till I was going, I reached in, I'd scoop me up a handful of that calf, man, and I'd throw him over in there. And tell you, this horse, he started bulking up. He gained about 500 pounds. I'd been in a seminar, and I'd been in another seminar, and then I'd been on the road, and I'd been gone for about 3 weeks. And I just kept feeding him and stuff, but I hadn't even been on him. And I just kept pouring it to him because I knew I would ride him when I get off the road and get things back going. And days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into almost a month. And I loaded him up in the trailer, and I was so excited. Went down here to my buddy's pen, and we were getting ready to rope. And I got on this horse, and I backed him in that chute. Now, he leaned back on that rail back there. I called for that steer, and everything went blurry for me. He rocked back on them back legs, and the next jump, we was about 50 feet out in that pen. Easy, boy. I got off and led him back. I need to tighten my girth. Things got loose quick. Telling you, he was bowed up. Walking around that pen, I was saying, easy, easy. Tell you something about this horse. He was bred to live better than he was living. But the only problem was he was eating the wrong kind of stuff. He'd been eating weeds, and he'd been eating vines, and he'd been eating whatever he could find to eat. Didn't have any power. Didn't have any strength. But he was born to live different. He's bred to do better than he was doing. He's bred to look different. He's bred to act different. He had it in him the whole time. But it couldn't come out eating honeysuckle vines. I got him in, and I started feeding this horse some high-protein food. I started pumping him with some right stuff. I started filling him full of stuff that would cause him to have the strength that he needed. This horse started blooming. He started blossoming. So went to a roping the other day, 90-something teams there, and half the folks there was trying to buy this horse from me. By the way, I won me a handful of money, too, out of 92 teams. Everywhere I go now, people trying to buy this horse from me. I got him off of a killer sale up at a cattle sale. The only thing that changed is what he was eating. It's the only thing that changed. Now you can go back and you can feed yourself in the world of music. You can feed yourself with programs on TV. You can feed yourself with ungodly conversation with all the people you work with. And you'll never live to the potential that you got. You can go back and you can start feeding yourself. You start feeding yourself. You start feeding yourself godly input. You start feeding yourself what God says about you. You start feeding yourself some high-protein diet. Before you go to work, you listen to a teaching tape on the way there. Before you walk into your house, you listen to a teaching tape on the way before you get back into that house. On Saturday morning or whatever day you have off, you get up and you spend a couple of hours in the Word, and you feeding yourself, and you feeding yourself, and you feeding yourself. When evil comes your way, you'll be overcoming evil. By what's inside here. By what's inside here, it'll start coming. It'll start coming. It'll start coming. Here this last winter, my partner and I were roping. And I roped this steer and turned him left, and my partner went in here and he heeled this steer, and we made a great run. He dallied off on that saddle horn and stopped his horse, and we were both feeling a little better than we probably should have felt. And we hit this steer pretty hard. Maybe a little harder than he needed to be hit. But we both hit this steer real hard and jerked him down, and he just laid there on the ground. So I got off my horse. We took the ropes off of him. And the steer just laid there. The rope was off of him, and I kicked him. He never moved. The ropes was off, but he didn't move. Reached down and got his head, and I picked him up, and I kicked him again. Kicked him about 2 or 3 times. Looked around, jumped up and ran off down the pen. So that steer ran off down the pen. The Lord said, see, that's just where most of my people are. The devil's hit them hard. They've been jerked down. Jesus came and took the ropes off of them, but they don't know they're free. They think they're still tied. And there's where we find ourselves. Set free by the Lord Jesus in our life, but still laying in the dirt. Steer wasn't fixing to get up. He still thought he was tied. That's where we find ourselves, man. You and I are free. You're born to be a winner. You're born to be an overcomer. You're bred to live better than you're living. The devil's hit you hard in life. You refuse to get up and run off. You think you're still tied. Jesus came to cut the ropes off your life, that you might have life and have it more abundantly. The power of God is here. The power of God is present for you. Last night as we took communion, I want you to take your canteen home with you, because the Bible said do it as often as you do. Often as you do this, remember me. Take that canteen, put it on the shelf in your house. Or whenever you need to partake of the blood, you need to partake of the body of the Lord Jesus, you grab for the high protein stuff. Whenever you're down, that's not the time to listen to some down beer drinking song on the radio. I'm telling you, you've got to feed yourself and feed yourself and feed yourself if you're going to live to the potential that you got. You and I were born to live different. I hope this weekend has been a real motivating time for you. Amen. Say, I'm an overcomer. I'm going to overcome evil with good. When evil comes my way, I'll be coming its way. I'm an overcomer. I'm overcoming. And I ain't lying. Y'all stand with me.